Evergreen Show, taking your business from seed to sapling to towering giant. With your hosts, best-selling author and business growth experts Noah Fleming and Sean Veltman. This is the only show that gives you proven, pragmatic, and immediately applicable business growth strategies every week in 15 minutes or less. Here's Noah and Sean.
Hey everybody, we're back. This is Noah Fleming, your host of the Evergreen Show with my co-host, Mr. Sean Veltman. Sean, give me the scoop. Where are you today? What's going on?
I am in the frigid winter wasteland of beautiful, sunny Calgary, Alberta, as per usual. You are on the road, my friend. Tell me about what you're gearing up for.
I am on the road. I'm in the lovely city of Montreal today. Flew in this morning. Tomorrow I'll be doing a special executive breakfast event with, I think, close to now 30 to perhaps 35 senior executives and business leaders from the Montreal area. So this is a really exciting event. This is a private, by invitation only event, which is awesome that we've filled the house and it's all packed up and ready to go. But so if there's a little bit of background noise, a little bit of hotel noise, that's why I am on the road. But Sean, we knew we had to get this podcast in because this is an important topic. We're going to talk today for everybody out there about something near and dear to my heart, which is a process that I developed when working with a manufacturing client a long time ago. And essentially, this process is something we call the Pick 3 process. And Sean has been influential in helping me develop the process and take it even further to the point where we've now developed a great software application for companies to run this process. But Sean, I'm talking a lot here. I'm just going to keep going, then I'll give you a chance to butt in if that's okay.
Perfect.
So the Pick 3 process is a really simple tool. It's a really simple process. So here's, in a nutshell, why this was developed. This company I was working with, they had everything going wrong for them. They were losing clients. They were losing market share. Revenue wasn't increasing. And so the CEO of this company, he heard me speak. And he came up to me after and he said, we got to find a way to work together. I don't know how yet, but here's what's going on and here's what we need to do. And so he explained everything to me. And what I noticed right away, it was really simple. It really revolved around my core message, which was they weren't doing any follow-up really at all with any of their existing clients. And so they were closing some sales, they were generating some new business, but that was really it. And so we started the Pick 3 with a few people in this organization where we said, this small handful of people are going to do these tasks with 3 customers every day. And so I gave them a list of tasks and I said, just pick one of these tasks and then pick 3 of your clients, which is what the Pick 3 is about. Pick 3 clients, 3 customers, 3 prospecting opportunities, whatever it is, and do these every single day. So the really cool thing was that this was a company that went from doing no sort of post-purchase follow-up. They weren't making any touch points with their customers. They went from essentially doing 0 to, multiplying those efforts essentially the day after we started. And what happened was really quickly, they started to get results. They started to get results because there was this activity, there was this consistent action, and it was meaningful and it was memorable and there was a process behind it. So Sean, any questions on the Pick 3 so far? Anything you want to add from what you've learned about the process?
What I think is really fascinating about it is that it's really easy to say to companies, to say to employees, to say to people, you guys have to do better at customer service. You have to do better at customer follow-up. You have to do better at taking care of the people who do business with you. But that's a really big statement, and it doesn't really mean a lot. So what we've found, and at least what I've found, is you have to break that down to very specific actions. This is what it means. This is what it means to be the type of company who takes great care of clients after they've made their first purchase. And, as your client there found out, a lot of times it's very simple. It's reaching out with a human touch in a way that, lets them know that they're still valuable after they've signed the check. Well, I think that's the real power of the Pick 3.
You're absolutely right. I mean that's the key here, right? Is it's and we rant on this a lot, but everybody can say they provide a wow experience. Everybody loves to say they're customer centric and do all this, say all these great things, but then they don't actually know how to do that, how to make that happen. Well, the Pick 3 process is one way to actually do that. It's essentially about putting, it's like it's when the rubber meets the road type of thing, right? You've actually got to get these things done. Here are the tasks. Here is how you do them. Here's the process for monitoring that they're getting done. And everybody's going to have an expectation to do these tasks every single day. Now, some of the cool things that have happened when we've had some very large companies come on board and try the pick three is they generate business the first day. They call us that day and they say, "You're not going to believe it. We just got this huge piece of business." And we say something like, "Well, what did you do?" "Well, you're not going to believe it, Noah. We called them up and we said, we just wanted to thank you for your business. And we just wanted to see what else you're working on right now, if there's anything we could help with." And the guy on the other end said, "It's funny you should call because we are working on a new project. We were just thinking about you guys today, and we were thinking we should eventually get in touch with you." Now, of course, if nobody would have called, they may have gotten in touch, but they probably wouldn't have, right? I mean, customers and clients, like we say, Sean, don't wake up every day wondering how they can give your business more money. So this is really about going on the offensive. This is about being proactive in customer retention, in customer loyalty, in customer service, in client care, in revenue generation, in prospecting, whatever else you want to add to it.
Exactly. And, I know you've put together at least 25 exercises right now, and that number keeps growing as we add more to this Pick 3 service. But let me ask you a question on the other side of this. And where does this fail? Why don't all companies do this? Because, like most of the stuff that we do, it seems like a simple idea on the front of it, right? Oh, we should just take time out of every day and get in touch with our customers. What could be simpler? So why don't companies already do this, or why do they fail when they try to do this haphazardly?
Well, I think it's like everything else. I mean, there's a compliance component and there's an accountability component. And so when I first started doing this with companies, I would show them and teach them the tasks. And then I would give them those tasks on a piece of paper and I would give them forms. And there was this expectation that every day this person or whoever was taking part was supposed to complete the activity and write down what they did. And of course, everything often falls by the wayside. So what happens was it's exciting at first. And by the way, I still use the paper version. We'll talk about that in a minute, and what we also do now. But it's kind of the exciting thing that's working for a little bit. But then typically, and not to throw somebody under the bus, whether it's a sales manager or a VP of sales or a VP of marketing or a VP of customer service, somebody somewhere isn't holding people accountable. Sometimes it's the president of the company. And so things kind of, again, there's this excitement at first, but then things just kind of fall by the wayside. And so what we believe is, like everything else, this needs to become a process, which is why it's called the Pick 3 process. It needs to become part of somebody's sacrosanct daily activities that they do every day, regardless of what else is going on. This is an expectation of their work. And so the tasks vary in nature, right? I think you said 25. I think we're up to like 35 right now. And sometimes we have clients that add their own. But the key is to pick one and do it every day. Some of them take 5 minutes, some of them take much longer, right? Sometimes we say things like, today you're going to get in your car and go visit 3 of your clients. And you're going to stop in, and this is what you're going to say to them. And it's not all rote and verbatim like that. We give you different techniques or different ideas of ways to engage the customer. But again, it needs to become something that is so rigorous and so important, and it has to be done without fail every single time. Is that the answer you're looking for?
I think that's the perfect answer. And, I think you nailed it, right? It has to be a process. And for us, process means that you're able to measure it and you're able to measure compliance. So being able to see who on your team isn't doing the Pick 3 is almost more important than seeing who's doing it and what the results are from the people who are doing it. Because that very quickly lets you find the people who don't share your corporate values, who don't believe in the processes that you've put forward, and who are probably causing problems in other areas as well.
That's exactly it. So, I talked about doing this with paper. And so some of my best clients, we gave them the tasks, and the process worked like this. The person doing the task actually wrote down what they did, and then they handed that in. At the end of the week, they gave that to their direct report, whether it was the VP of sales or somebody else. Then there was another layer to that in which I held that person accountable. The problem we ran into was that I would end up beating up that person every week because they'd end up beating up their people every week. And eventually it became very hard to just get the type of compliance we needed. So we tried looking at different ways to do this. And of course, Sean, you had the brilliant idea of turning it into a tool, a software tool. And I think that's worked a lot better because it's given people this what's the right it's this repository. So there's a tool to actually complete the tasks, to give you the training, to give your people the understanding of what to do and how to do it. There's the component where they actually have to put down what they did, so there's a record of it. And then, of course, something that's near and dear to both of our hearts is this idea of exception reporting. And so, rather than a week or two going by before the VP of Sales knows that 6 of his sales guys aren't taking part, he gets a report the next day that says, here's everybody who completed their tasks yesterday, and here's who didn't. And now he has an opportunity to go and talk to Sean and say, Sean, why didn't you complete your task yesterday? So, Sean, why didn't you complete your task yesterday?
I got busy and it fell to the bottom of my list. And that's exactly the kind of excuse that's going to come up time and time again. And it's why it's so important that as a manager, as somebody who's responsible for people doing these tasks, you're ready for that and you're ready to really reinforce the importance of doing this process regularly. Because, Noah, as you and I both know, there's nothing that's more effective with your clients and customers than creating a personal touch. You can send all the text messages and emails in the world, but a personal touch is, it's the platinum standard.
It's absolutely true. And there was something you said there that was kind of interesting. First of all, the personal touch is so incredibly important. It's so valuable, and it's something that we urge time and time and time again. But the thing that you said there, which really struck me, is that you're going to get these excuses. Now, as I was planning for this Montreal executive breakfast I'm doing tomorrow, you and I talked about something interesting, and we were talking about what is the one biggest single mistake that a lot of companies make, and they continue to make, even successful ones. And so the question that you and I were talking about was, most companies have a process for how expense reports are filed by people traveling, for example. Now, if 3 of your guys go to a conference next week and they don't file their expense reports properly, they don't follow the process, they're not going to get reimbursed, and there's going to be hell to pay. So why do we have these processes in place for things like that and not for these things that matter so much, the things that we talk about, that we bring customers in for, that we put on our websites, we put in our marketing material? We don't put the process around that. And to me, it's just so backwards.
I agree. It's mind-boggling sometimes to see where time and effort and money gets spent and where it doesn't. And so often it's in the areas that are easiest to control, like internal processes, rather than in the areas that have the highest impact, like creating great experiences for your customers or clients.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? So, listen, let's talk about the app for a few minutes here, and then let's give our listeners a challenge and perhaps even a bonus today. So, I think we need to talk about the app. The app can be found at pick3process.com. So it's pick3process.com, not the number 3. You're actually spelling the word 3. Or you can go to just pick3.com. Either one will get you there. And here we've got this tool. You can sign up for it. This is a paid tool, but it's an awesome tool and something that you can use that will start having an impact immediately. We have a company account which gives your whoever, your VP of sales or yourself, if it's a smaller company, you can bring in your staff and you can get them going on this process, and then you can control what's being done. Anything you want to say about the app, Sean, since you were kind of the spearheading guy behind this wonderful tool?
I think there's a lot of fantastic pieces about it. The first and foremost is that you get, dozens of different activities that Noah explains in video, makes it really easy to drill down to one thing that people should be doing. As we talked about earlier, there's the recording and compliance components, makes it really easy for you to track your team, to see who's doing what, to make sure that these contacts and connections are being made. Given how much we charge to go into companies and put processes like this into place for them internally, this is an absolute steal at the tiny pittance that we're charging for it on the website.
So let's take one step back further. So as I mentioned, we do this, or I used to do this with clients in a paper format. As a bonus for anyone listening today, I'm happy to give you the paper format. You can take a look at it. You can try and start to implement this within your company. You can use it. I think it's a wonderful tool. It'll give you an idea of how the process works. More importantly, I will guarantee if you do it for a week, give it 5 business days with a few people taking part, with the expectation they need to get this done, you will generate results in so many different ways. It'll be incredible. But then I would urge you to come and check out the app because it's fantastic. I know you're going to have questions about this, so definitely get in touch with us. Sean, what about a challenge today? I think the challenge should be we should give our listeners a pick three and something that they need to do today and go out and then report back on it.
I think that's a great idea. One of my favorites for pick three is always the referral generation pick three. So pick three clients who you have done good work for at some point in the past 3 to 6 months. You don't want to be going back years on this. So find somebody who you've done great work for or who's expressed delight or satisfaction with you over the past 3 to 6 months and ask them for a referral.
So that's a good one. Let's give a few more examples. Here's another one that you can do today. Send 3 handwritten notes. So Sean talked about the power of the human touch, the personal touch, right? In today's day and age of high tech and texting and all this great stuff, sometimes we lose the impact and the value of that meaningful personal touch. And so there was a great story in Forbes or Fast Company, one of them not too long ago, about a guy that sent 13,000 handwritten notes for his company, and the results were, just through the roof. I've had my own results with this where I've closed projects just by sending a handwritten note and the client getting in touch with me and saying, we need to start working together again. So for about $1 or about $3, since you're going to do this with 3 clients and probably 5 minutes of your time, you're going to get in touch with clients in this really awesome way. Another pick three task that you could do is call 3 inactive clients. So look through your files, look through your records and see which customers or maybe perhaps suppliers or certain retailers or somebody has stopped doing business with you or they haven't done business with you in a while, and just call them. Call them to see how they're doing. Call them to check in. If you don't know why they've stopped doing business with you, then you have to use this opportunity to try and learn why. But this is a great way just to re-engage them and get the conversation going. And so these are a few examples. Is there any others you want to add, Sean?
I think those are great. I don't want to overwhelm anybody with choice. As we've said, the importance of this is pick one thing and do it. So pick one of those, do it. The bonus task that I'll give everybody is get in touch. Get the paper version of this to put in place in your company. Or, if you want to get started full force right away, go to pick3process.com and get yourself signed up, get your company signed up, and get people started using this immediately.
And to get that bonus, by the way, just send me an email, noah@noahfleming.com, and I'll fire that little workbook off to you so you can get started. But you're right, Sean, we don't want to overwhelm. We've gone over our 15-minute mark today, but there are over 35 of these tasks. And there was one interesting other thing I wanted to add here, which I don't want to forget. Sometimes what happens in companies is when we give them these tasks on paper, we find that certain people get comfortable with certain things. You are going to have people that don't really like to pick up the phone, or they default to texting, or they default to sending an email. The really cool thing about the app is that it's randomized. And so every day they get a new task. They can shuffle it if it's something they really can't do or don't want to do that day. But the point is, they can't skip every certain type of task, or they can't stick to the task that they just want to do. And you'll also get some great analytics on this to show you where perhaps people in your company need more training. So if you find Sean always skips the phone calling tasks and only texts, then this is an area that we can work with Sean. Or we might decide that, you know what, Sean isn't good at picking up the phone. And so we're going to keep him back there in frigidly cold Alberta, and that's where he's going to stay. So with that, anything else you want to add today, Sean?
I think we've covered a lot of ground here. I think I would be remiss if I didn't urge everybody again to try the pick three, do this. This is such an incredibly powerful process, And you would be doing yourself a huge disservice if you dismiss it by saying it's easy or it's obvious. Yes, it is easy, it is obvious, and it's not getting done. So do it. That's where the power is. It's in doing the easy and obvious things that others aren't.
Okay, guys, so you've got the task, you've got the challenge. I want to see your results. Send those to me. Head over to pick3process.com and definitely check out the app. Shoot me an email and I will send you the workbook. But otherwise, I think that's all we've got today. And now we've got to listen to our jingle that says 15 minutes or less. But today we're at just under 20 minutes. So it's a little bit of bonus goodness for our listeners today. Thanks, everybody.
We live to give.
We live to give. We'll see you next week, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to join us each and every week for another great episode of The Evergreen Show with your hosts, Noah Fleming and Sean Veltman. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review, and we'll catch you next time on The Evergreen Show.